So exciting times for women's football in general and for Oxford United. Joined by Lauren Haynes, Kath Faulkner to talk us through this. Laura, since you were the one that broke the news to me, explain for people out there what is happening with the younger element of the women's game.
So it's a really exciting time with Oxford United Football Club and women's football in general. We've now got the go-ahead to build a partnership now from our RTC into our women's first team and build that gap now with a newly formed development squad. Now this is obviously fantastic news for us, not only for Liam and the first team, but also for our girls in our academy system in our RTC now having a clearer pathway in order to enable them to go and progress into the first team.
So for the people at home, what age group, that development side, how does it actually work?
So what will happen now is the players will come into us from under 8s and under 16s in our academy RTC programme. They will go into a now under 23s programme within the development squad. And then it will be the feeder into the first team's women team. So what will happen is they'll play in a league, they will train and be that kind of buffer now in between our academy players and our first team players.
Which feeds into you, Kath. What does this mean for the first team? You are one of the coaches within the first team. What does this mean for you?
Yes, it's really important for us, obviously, to continue the growth of the women's team, which we've had fantastic growth in the last probably 2 years since all the changes happened. But the next step really was to have a well-established, eventually, development squad that will allow the best players in Oxfordshire, much like with the men's game, the best players in Oxfordshire playing within our RTC and then having a visible pathway through into the first team, because ultimately that's what everybody wants to see is local youngsters coming all the way through the system. It's a big jump from 16s to first team football, which is a big jump from 18s, as everybody knows. But this now, as Lauren says, gives us that buffer that allows an introduction into older football before they come into the women's programme's full structure.
Loz, are the players already there to feed straight into this, or do you have to go out and recruit a whole host of new players?
So we've got a number of our players from our RTC who would be moving up to what would be that first team environment, a development squad football environment. So we'll have a bank of players from our RTC ready to go straight into that. Along with some players in and around the first team that need that support, along with recruitment as well. There's lots and lots of players in and around the Oxfordshire area and local surrounding areas that are very, very good footballers and need to be in this environment, but they just probably not had that experience or exposure they need in order to go and play for our first team. So hopefully having this development squad and the support they'll have around them will then eventually actually mean that they come and play for Oxford United as a local player.
And that's another thing that's great for us as well as the first team is we have players who are on the fringes of the first team who are 18, 19, some of them 16, 17. They're too young for youth football, but at the moment they're not quite there for the first team, so they're sitting on the bench and that's not helping their development. They're training with the first team, which obviously is good for their development, but they need to be playing football. And hopefully this will then give them that. If we need them on a Sunday in the first team and they'll actually come in and get minutes, we can do that. But otherwise, they can go with the development squad, be playing regular 90 minutes until they're ready for that full progression.
You've both played for the women's side, you both captained the women's sides. Would this have helped your development as players? Would it have helped you?
Yeah, massively. I mean, and like Kath touched on there, and it's been evident in the last 2 years. And everyone knows when Oxford come out of the WSL, and we didn't have a development squad then for the last 2 years, and that has impacted hugely, especially players coming out of the RTC. We've had international players, we've had very, very high potential players, which unfortunately we've lost because we've not been able to have that pathway in place for them, and we lose them to your championship clubs and clubs that have that pathway in progress. So it's really important that we have this now to keep hold of our players that we've been developing since 8 years old, to go all the way and progress into our women's first team, because we've dipped out on that the last couple of years, which has been a shame. But hopefully now we'll get that in place. And yeah, like from a playing perspective, it's huge because the last couple of years we've had players coming up to our under 16s and and like Kath said, they're not going to be ready for first team football. And we, as RTC and, you know, as the RTC centre manager, it's very, very hard to have that change in mentality of prepping a 16-year-old for first team football when actually they need this support. And now we're able to put that in place, and we're confident can do a really good job on that.
I think the word gets out as well, doesn't it? Because it is a progressive thing from the club. The word will spread amongst all the women's sides, all the girls out there who want to play football. The word gets out that there is a place to go and you will develop as a player now.
Yeah, massively. And hopefully that's something we can continue to build on. The links between the women's team and the RTC, obviously having our centre manager also be captain of the women's team is hugely beneficial. But there's kids now under 8s coming into the programme who realistically can finish their career in the first team now, not looking at finishing the RTC, but carrying right the way through. And that's what everybody wants.
You would have thought the captain of the women's side would have run off and put an Oxford United shirt on like we did, Kath.
No, you are right. I'll take that one.
When? This is a horrible question. When? I know when the men are playing. That's coming up at the start of July. When are you lot going to get back playing again?
Yeah, so based off all the information and stuff that we've kind of heard, I think, you know, no one can put a date on it and no one can plan for anything. Hopefully we're back into training over the next couple of months, obviously adhering to government and FA guidelines. There's, you know, the rumours are that the third week of September is a point. But whether that goes ahead or not, we're not entirely sure. But we've got something to kind of work towards, and then if it doesn't go to plan, we'll make sure we have a contingency and go off of that and see how it goes.
Yeah, as Lauren says, we're expecting the top 2 tiers, the professional part of the women's game, to start at the same time as the EFL and the Premier League do, and then we'll probably be a week or 2, hopefully, just behind that. We're looking to start training. I mean, it's been long enough not training as it is. So we know a lot of our players are having phone calls already saying, when can we get back? So we'll be starting doing the social distance training, probably around the same time as we would normally start. And then hopefully getting them super fit and ready to start the season.
Trials. We did a story recently about trials, but you can't set dates for that yet, can you?
No, so we're asking players to register interest if they want to come and be part of it. And then actual dates, again, we're just following the government advice. If it keeps pushing, we may look to do socially distanced trials, because there's obviously some bits we can do. But yeah, at the moment, we just want people to register their interest. And I think Lauren's got trials for the RTC as well. And it's very much like everything at the moment, a play it by ear. But hopefully we'll see the relaxing further of the regulations and we'll be able to get back playing football.
Let's test out Loz again. We're giving her a hard time here. If people want to register their interest in RTC trials and stuff, what do they have to do?
So there's a link that goes out on all of our RTC social media pages and the women's pages. And I know there's a web story that's been out on the official Oxford United website. And again, that's just a register of interest, an expression of interest, form, which they fill out with their playing experience, which will come into myself. And then off of that, we're hosting virtual, like Zoom meeting calls, if you like, virtual meetings for those who do express an interest. And that will be me and Vlad, our technical director, and some of our actual current RTC players, showing everybody kind of what we do in the RTC, and if players are still interested, then we'll move forward with the trial process, however that looks.